Hey everyone, it's Jax again from the Popcorn Review Podcast. Today's gonna be my episode 44, Raw recap. So they did a recap of last week to start off for a few minutes, pretty much showing, the biggest thing, Roman Reigns coming back and kind of confronting them, helping out Jey Uso. But after that video package, you did see the Judgment Day show up. And this bit with Dom and AJ is the funniest thing ever. So once they showed up, he went to go valet his car. He turns around as AJ dressed up as a valet. He tossed him the keys. AJ, talks shit to him, looks at the keys and throws them behind him. I'm telling you, this shit is funny. Now, I think AJ is going to lose to Dom, unfortunately, even though in reality, AJ is a better wrestler as of now than Dom Mysterio. But this is probably one of the better segments of the night, of the month, I should say. They've been doing a really good job being funny, playing off of each other. So I can't wait to actually see them in a match. Still think that Judgment Day is going to get involved, but we'll see how it plays out. After that, you did have CM Punk start off the night. He pretty much comes out and says that he had a list when he came back. One of them was to main event WrestleMania, and the other one was to become world champion. And he goes, as of right now, I've checked one of those off my list. So Gunther, the next step is to become the world champion. Him and Gunther, then you hear Gunther come out, kind of had an exchange of words there. The thing is that Punk kept calling himself the best in the world. I don't know if I mentioned it before, if anybody remembers. I'm not a real big CM Punk fan, honestly. I feel like everywhere he goes is drama. But I'd rather see CM Punk with the title than Gunther. Gunther, personally, to me, is a boring champion. I think CM Punk will elevate that title some and just make his feud with Seth Rollins even that much more when Seth comes back. So I think Gunther's losing, to be honest with you. I'd be really shocked if they have Gunther win, but it is what it is. But CM Punk kept saying he's the best in the world throughout that segment. And then Gunther comes out and says, we got a lot of things in common. He goes, you have an ego, I have an ego. You're this, you're that. Um, you know, but you consider yourself the best in the world. I consider myself the best in the world. But it was an okay segment. I feel like this match was just thrown together because, again, Seth Rollins is gone. But the fans were booing the shit out of Gunther. They didn't want to hear nothing from Gunther, honestly. You saw Gunther physically getting upset. His neck was turning red. He was screaming so much that you saw the vein bulging out of the side of his neck. So Gunther was actually getting pissed the fans weren't letting him talk. Well, he pretty much says, Punk, I'm gonna destroy you, I'm gonna dismember you, yada 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 yada. Same bullshit Gunther always says to everybody. But during that segment, you did have the fans saying, you tapped out, you tapped out. You know what I mean? So the fans are not liking Gunther right now. I know in the past I said the fans actually like Gunther. Right now, they can care less, especially if it's CM Punk going against them. The fans rather have CM Punk, like myself, be a champion over Gunther. We'll see how it goes. Honestly, I don't know what the reasoning behind having Gunther the title. Like I mentioned before, Gunther and Goldberg could have fought without the title. It wasn't needed. Um, but they pretty much break off, talk shit to each other. You did have an interview with Stephanie Vakir and interrupted by Naomi. And Naomi pretty much told her, like, hey, me and you in Paris, so just get ready for it. But you should probably go wrestle Io one more time because last time I saw, Io had your number. So she's trying to put doubt in Stephanie's mind. Now, I'm surprised they're pushing Stephanie so fast. Even if she goes against Naomi, the fans right now love Naomi. They love her act. They love her bit. As much as we like Stephanie Vakir, why are you going to ruin Naomi's bit, Naomi's chance, Naomi's title reign that fast? So it's either someone's going to get involved and cost Stephanie the title, or Naomi's going to have a really short title run similar to Jay. And it's going to be like, yo, you keep fucking over that same family over and over. But that's how I feel. But, again, Naomi gets in her head a little bit. Um, Stephanie Bakir actually goes talks to Io Sky later, and they have a match later on tonight. So it got to her enough that she actually went to go talk to Io, like, "Yo, I want to run it back." But that's later on in the day. I will say we had I guess like a rubber match or a rematch between Sheamus and Rusev. Okay match. This is now I think the second or third time they've wrestled now, and same old. Honestly, really hard hitting match. Really good in the ring against each other. These guys wrestled years ago and now doing it over. Um, I think Rusev won the first one. This one, it was Sheamus. So of course they're gonna have to do a third one to see who wins the three or the two best out of three. And it'll probably be at SummerSlam, honestly. But we'll see how. There's 2 days of SummerSlam. They gotta fill that card somehow. So, we do all know that Chad Gable's out, and there is a really tall fucking guy wearing the mask right now. And honestly, he speaks very good Spanish. Ludwig, I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. Lot better Spanish than Chad was saying. Gracias. That's all we heard from him. That's it. We didn't hear much. But Ludwig Kaiser, I'm pretty impressed, honestly. Speaking Spanish in the interview, at least as best as you could. Dragon Lee did interrupt you, so Dragon Lee and you guys are going to be feuding. Continuing that, El Grande Americano is trying to beat up all the luchadors, still going through the LWO, but it's going to be a decent match. I would say Ludwig Kaiser and Chad kind of have different wrestling styles, so it's kind of nice to see someone different. But again, Ludwig, you surprised me. You actually were speaking Spanish, so that's actually nice to see. You actually took the time, whether it was just those few sentences you said, or maybe you are fluent in Spanish. A lot of other countries make sure that their students learn different languages. Like have a friend from Puerto Rico who was born and raised there, and they taught him English. So when he moved to the States, his English was perfect. I know in China, they also teach people English. They also teach people Spanish. So is either you learned it from traveling for wrestling, or you just learned it for the bit. And I actually appreciate that. So as much as I hate this bit, you actually impressed me. So hats off to you, Kaiser. Later on, right after that segment, though, you did have the New Day versus Los Garzas versus American Made. Now, I've said this before. Julius Creed, that dude's a monster. Every time I see him wrestle, he does his thing. He puts on a good show. He sells his ass off. He does some hard hitting moves. In the future, whether he becomes a leader of American Made or just fucking leaves that group, I see him being possibly a mid card champion. He actually impressed me every time I see him. So Julius Creed, you're doing a great job in the ring. Don't know how much a WWE is going to push you, but I see great things from you. Um, New Days after that, Julius Creed was doing his thing, but New Day started beating his ass. It was like I was praising him, and then like right after that, they just started beating him up. But you did have a few people get involved. You had Ivy Niles get involved to try to cost the match to the other guys. But again, it went back and forth. They were flipping on each other, back flipping on each other, power bombing each other, corkscrew or tornillo, something like that, outside the ring. Amazing moves. Just a all around fast paced move. Honestly, I'm surprised the New Day was able to keep up. I would say they're the oldest ones out of those three tag teams, but it was a decent match overall. Um, El Grande Americano actually got involved. Dragon Lee came out after Ivy, tried to get involved and kind of help out his LWO faction. Americano came out, started getting in with Dragon Lee. Long story short, though, you did have the LWO pull it off, to be honest with you, and I was actually shocked. They haven't been talking about them lately, especially after Ray got injured. So I'm surprised, the New Day's been dressing up in like gothic or punk and oh, they're in mourning over losing the tag title. So I thought they were going to continue to go that way, but they decided to go with the LWO. Nice to see a different group in there, but I was just actually surprised, because Chad said he wanted the Creed brothers to go after the tag team, and the New Day is going after the tag team. So I'm surprised they one of those two teams didn't win. LWO, complete shocker. Nice to see someone else there, but complete shocker to be honest with you. Didn't expect that, so y'all got me on that one. Um, you did have Bailey and Lyra versus the women's tag team champions Roxanne and Raquel. Apparently, Bailey asked for this match. Um, Bailey was acting really weird. She was actually really happy, really excited. Telling Lyra, "Hey, we never got to run this match at Mania, so let's run it now. Let's try to see if we could win the championship." And Lyra was actually very reluctant talking about the match, even during the match. But before the match, you actually had Becky come out and talk to Lyra. So, hey, we're gonna wrestle at SummerSlam. Just letting what's gonna happen. You don't deserve this. Giving her that whole bullshit that she's been saying the past couple weeks. But her and Bailey actually start doing okay. And during the match, Lyra's like getting into it, like, all right. But for the most of the match, she was like, nah, I don't want no part. Like she didn't want to tag in, she didn't want to do shit. So Bailey, for the most part, was wrestling both the girls for a while. Good match, honestly. I didn't expect the two to win. Bailey and Lyra didn't see that happening, honestly. Um, but they start doing pretty good, and then Becky's actually comes from another ring or comes from the crowd or something, causes Lyra or actually beats down on Lyra. So when Bailey goes to the corner, there's no one there for her to tag out. She actually gets rolled up, and Raquel kind of like pushes her legs to make sure the pin is good, if anything. So, but during that match, you actually had Raquel either clothesline or boot Dom in the face. And the first thing the commentary goes, "Oh man, hopefully he's cleared for SummerSlam." Okay. But, Lyra and Bailey don't pull it off. We already know Bailey's going to be pissed. Maybe Bailey gets involved in the match at SummerSlam. We'll see. But right after that, you already had a match announced for SummerSlam, or right before, right after. It was the Judgment Day, Raquel and Roxanne versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Not sure how they're getting another title shot, but apparently they're getting one. Looks like everybody got a damn title shot who was in that fatal four way. So far you had the Kabuki Warriors had one right after Evolution. Now you got these girls. All you got left is what? So Ruka, if I think her name is, and her partner from NXT to get another shot. So maybe they'll show up on Tuesday and wrestle the girls on Tuesday. Just run everybody that they ran with. But we'll see how it plays out. Honestly, guys, the women's tag team they got to work on doing a little bit better this couple weeks. After Evolution, they've been heavily showing the women on the show, so good job. Um, but you did have a match later on with Sami Zayn versus Cross, and it was an okay match. Sammy's still wearing the taped up ribs, carrying trying to make Sammy, acknowledge the fact that he's a heel and he's better as a heel, and Sammy's not having it. They go in for a while. Both start doing really good against each other. The crowd is cheering the shit out of Cross. But, Sammy does get the better of him for a little while. And you have Scarlett get into it, kind of distract Sammy. At one point, she passes Cross the same pipe that he'd been beating the shit out of Sammy with. And boom, she grabs Sammy's leg from the outside after she passed the pipe. The referee goes after her, like, "What are you doing?" Cross comes in, hits him with the fucking pipe, and just laughs it off that he took another win. So I guess they're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna run three best of three. I think they have one each, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they'll finalize at SummerSlam or Saturday night's main event, something to that effect. But these guys are still going at it. Cross got the upper hand this time with the help of his wife, of course. But we'll see how it plays out, guys. Um, Later on, I mentioned Dom was like clotheslined or booted to the face by Raquel during the women's tag team match. And Adam Pearce like, "Hey, you got to go get checked out." All right. So he goes to the back, and AJ's waiting. He was like, "Bro, what's going on?" And like I mentioned, AJ has been everywhere where Dom has been. He was the valet. He was even the medical doctor that came out to check on him while when Raquel knocked his ass over. And then he's waiting for him in the back to make sure he knows that Dom is cleared to go. Well, he's talking to Pierce like, "How long is this shit going to take? Like, what's going on?" And then the doctor or the nurse comes out. And he goes, "Well, we got to run some tests, but we'll let you know right away what's going on." And right after that, Dom kind of like hits AJ in the back of the head with the title. He goes, "AJ, I'm cleared. I'll see you at SummerSlam." So we already knew that, you know, Dom was bullshitting the whole time. He might have been okay that first week, but after that, it was just BS, to be honest with you. So again, we are gonna have Dom versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam. I do believe Dom's gonna win, keep or retain, I should say, but it's gonna be with the help of the Judgment Day. I think at some point Finn is gonna, cost Dom the title, but as of right now, I still see that title staying there. I don't see Dom losing anytime soon, at least as of not now. Even though AJ is a better wrestler, I still think Dom's gonna retain with the help of the Judgment Day. So, like I mentioned earlier in the video, you did have Io Sky and Stephanie Vakir talk that they wanted to run it back tonight. The girls get in the ring. They're both having a good technical match, arm bars, flips, arm drags, all that shit. Excuse me, all that shit. But you did hear in the crowd, though, La Primera and Io Sky chants back and forth. So the crowd was divided. They wanted both of them to win. Stephanie Vakir went for the Devil's Kiss multiple times throughout the match. And every time the crowd is cheering, like, yeah, yeah, but Io Sky kept blocking it. But that shit was funny because everybody's anticipating seeing that move. And every time that she went for it, Io blocked it. But at one point, she does get her on the outside with a devastating knee. I think she jumped over the ring or over the ropes, rather, landed with a knee in her chest while she was laying on the apron. That's when it all changed there. Stephanie started getting the better hand of her, hit her with the devil's kiss on the apron, then rolled her back in, hit her with a second one. So even though Io blocked two, she got hit with two back to back after that devastating knee. And I keep saying devastating knee because even if it didn't hurt, that shit looked like it hurt. So great move, ladies. Y'all got good chemistry. But, they don't want to let Stephanie look weak. They don't want to let Io look weak. So this is the second time now that they've wrestled. Someone got involved. You had Chelsea Green get involved with her service or her secret service, whatever you want to call it. So they started beating down on. Well, they started beating down on Stephanie, and then you had because Naomi has a match against Rhea and Io Sky. She starts beating the shit out of Io in the middle of the ring, and then Mommy's music hits and she comes to the ring and saves everybody. But again, this is like the second time these two women have wrestled. We don't have a fucking winner. To be honest with you, it's either going to be a no contest or someone won because of DQ. Same thing as last time. Someone won because of a DQ. Come on, guys. I know y'all don't want to make it your wrestlers look weak or take a L, but this is going on for almost everybody. Someone's getting pulled out from under the ring. Someone's getting pulled out from under the ropes. Multiple fucking run-ins throughout every fucking match. Like, what the fuck is going on? Y'all can't write nothing different? Like, somebody got to fucking lose. I know you have the DQ, someone wins off of that. But fuck, like, this was a good match. This is the second time these girls have wrestled and we can't see a finish, like a clean finish. None of them are heels. Just let them wrestle. Who cares if one of them takes the L? Io Sky already has a fucking title shot in SummerSlam in a couple weeks. What is the problem? If Stephanie would have beat her, then she could have been number one contender because she beat her beforehand. That's it. Like, why is it so fucking hard? Just let someone take a loss. It's not that big a deal. Y'all been doing this now for the past couple weeks. You don't want your guys to look weak or your wrestlers to look weak, so you keep doing DQ or count. Yeah, mostly DQ. Actually, it's been all DQ. A bunch of interference during every fucking match. Like, let's do something different. I know you got a lot of fucking, or at least shit. If you're gonna do a DQ here, you know, do interference on this match. But you had interference with the women's tag team match. You had interference with Sammy's match. You had interference with Io versus Stephanie. That's three matches of the night. Y'all had fucking shit. Y'all had interference on the LWO match to the number one contender. All your fucking matches this week had fucking interference. I mean, shit, is it the same person writing every fucking story? I mean, fuck, guys. Come up with something else. I've said this before. Like, it's repetitive at this point. If you have interference in one match, all right, I'll give you that. DQ the next one. Okay, different outcome. But fucking interference, DQ. What the fuck? DQ because of interference. I actually just realized that now that almost every fucking match that happened had interference. Even the Becky Lynch and Lyra had fucking interference. Sorry, Becky Lynch and Bailey and Lyra had interference because Becky Lynch got into it. So you had interference with the women's tag team. You had interference with the men's number one contender. You had interference with Karrion Kross and Sammy. You had interference with fucking the last match or Io Sky and damn it, Io Sky and Stephanie. What's going on? All your matches had interference. I think that's 2 weeks in a row now. Most of your matches had interference. That's crazy, bro. Let's come up with something else. But like I mentioned, they were saved by Rhea Ripley. Mommy say today, the three of the women were standing in the ring looking at each other. So we're probably going to see a three-way with them, but we'll see what happens. So I will say you had Seth Rollins' group. Again, don't know what to call these guys. I know Paul Heyman joked around of calling them the Empire a couple times. He's being called the Oracle, but other than that, we don't have no other name for this group. And Paul starts talking again. You know, we have the future with Braun Breaker. We have the dominant force of Bronson Reed, and just starts talking about the accolades. And he was like, but I do got to get something off my chest. So please, before he comes out, let me finish. And then OTC music hits, Roman music hits. He comes out to the ring. Now, Roman comes pretty much just standing and just looking over to them, just taking the energy from the crowd. The crowd's feeling him, you know. And Roman was actually really cocky, so that was pretty funny. But he was really cocky during the segment. But he tells Paul, he was like, man, he was like, you was like my family. He was like, you were a chosen family. He goes, you weren't a family. He goes, but you were a chosen family. He was like, but you didn't create Roman Reigns. You didn't create the bloodline. He was like, that was God that did that. He made us blood. He goes, you were just you were just along for the ride. He goes, at one point you were the wise man, but now you're just a dumbass. He just kept talking mad shit about Paul Heyman. But Paul was actually out there to try to convince Roman to join his group that he has with those guys. He was like, you know, I just want to say I'm sorry. And I want to say I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. And, you know, he's like praying and shit again. But if you take me back, you know, you get two of the best guys here with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Well, they ain't want to hear it pretty much, especially Braun Breaker. He ain't want to hear shit. He was just like, man, you ain't nothing, man. The fans don't want you here. Nobody wants you here. And the fans just start booing Braun Breaker. That's probably the first time I've seen them boo him in a while because they've always barking when he comes out. But again, Roman just keeps talking shit. And then at one point, you know, Braun goes on and just speaks. And Roman just looks at him like, did you say something? Because I didn't hear a word you just said. He was like, your mic must be broken. He was like, here, take mine. When he threw his mic, he catches it, comes, hits him with Superman punch, and just starts going ham on that team. Well, they do start beating Roman down, though, because it's 2-on-1 right now, but Roman ain't scared, but he did get beat down. And if y'all remember last week, Roman saved Jey Uso and Punk. Well, this time, his cousin, Jey Uso, returns the favor. Right before he gets tsunami'd, you hear, Uso. Jey comes out, helps out Roman. And the same thing as last week, he puts his hands out, he picks him up. So he repaid the favor of, you know, helping Roman out this time around. But the way it's sounding, Roman's getting the band back together. Right now it's Roman and Jey. I think that they're going to have a third person join that group now that Seth is gone. Might be Jacob or Jimmy might be coming over to join the bloodline, or because Sammy's already on Raw, maybe Sammy joins the team before, you know, Jimmy comes over. But it does sound like the bloodline, the OG bloodline is getting back together because he did talk about I kept my title because of Jay, because of Jimmy, and yes, even Sammy. So he's giving his guys his props that the reason why he was champion for so long was because of them, not because of you, Paul Heyman. So we are gonna have that, guys. Jay Uso saves the day this time around. That's why I'm wearing my Yeet shirt. Just wanted to show respect there. But they repaid each other back. Last week, Roman saved Jay and Punk. This week, you had Jay return the favor. But again, I think the OG bloodline's coming back. You guys let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Have a great one.